Hey,
Hey Richard, how are you?
I'm great. How are you? Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. I hope 2021 brings you hope, successful, and joy.
You too. The same to you.
Yeah, and good riddance 2020 because of the COVID-19.
Yeah,
Yes,
exactly.
yes. Okay, Richard, as I told you, we are going to teach lesson 3 in 10th grade in high school.
hmm
And as I told you, it is about past continuous and reflection pronouns and some explanation about how to learn easy way or just a good way, good method to learn English at the
Okay.
end. Okay, let's start with past continuous. Okay, could you explain for my learners?
When we use the past continuous, of course. So, the question you always need to ask yourself when you're using the past is, what do I want to talk about? Or what is important? Because we have two areas. One is the result, okay? Now, when the
Yes.
result is important, we use the simple. So, for example, I read 5 books. Okay, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's a result. I read 5 books. But if I want to talk about how long something took, the duration, or I just want to talk about the action, I'm going to use the past continuous. So, I read 5 books. That's a result. Okay. I was reading for 2 hours. That's a duration. Okay. How many pages did I read in these 2 hours? We don't know. It's not important. I just want to talk about the duration. Okay. Or I want to talk about the action of something. So I might say to my friend, you look very tired. What have you been doing? Or what were you doing? Okay. So when we're talking about the action duration, we use the continuous. And when we talk about the result, we use the simple. So always ask yourself, what is important or what do I want to talk about? If it's the result, it's the simple. If it's the action, it's the duration, it's the continuous. And that's the same whether we use talking about the past, we're talking about the present, we're talking about the future, or even some of the more complicated tenses, the past perfect, the present perfect. It's exactly the same.
Okay, you mean when we want to talk about the past and duration of something happen and what's going on in that time exactly, we use the past continuous, you mean?
Exactly. So the past continuous is going to either answer the question, how long?
Okay, Richard, first of all, I want to tell you something. We have a guest, a special guest. He's a dentist and he's interested in English language learning. And
Mhm.
if he requests to me, he may join us, and together we listen to you and just we negotiate about how to learn. Okay, Richard, mm, about the reflection pronouns. Tell me more about the reflection pro. Before it, what is the adverb? Which kind of adverb do we use for past continuous? While, when, in that time, for example, adverb of
Yeah,
time.
we use when or during. During quite a lot because we talk about this duration. So we could say
What
he was
what about
sleeping during the night.
yeah? What about when and while? For example, when I was walking in the street, I saw you.
Right. So,
When I
or
was
sometimes we can talk about the past continuous where we're talking about two actions happening at the same time. So, um, I was cooking when John was watching television. Okay. It's like these two actions are happening at the same time. So we can use that. So when we're talking about two actions happening at the same time, but we could also use things like before and after. I was I was reading a book before I met my friends, or I was watching television after finishing my lesson. So we can use before and after because it's all about when these things happened, and because we can use the past continuous quite a lot to explain what was happening before something happened. I was watching television when the telephone rang. Okay, so we use the past simple for this interruption action, but when we're talking about what the situation was before that, I was watching television, we can use the past continuous for that.
Okay, thanks you for more explanation about the past continuous. Reflection pronouns, what do you think about this? And the place of it or position of the reflection pronouns, for example, so if they come, it will...
myself, himself.
Yes, and its place. Okay. What is different between these two sentences? I myself fix my car. I fix my car myself.
Okay, so the first one we don't really use. So we're going to use the reflexive pronoun at the end of the sentence. So I fixed the car myself. I cut my hair myself. No, I actually didn't, like somebody else did it, but imagine I cut my hair myself. I myself, we don't really talk about it. There's really one area we can use it, and we can talk about when I want to give my opinion. I myself believe that everybody should have access to health care. Okay, but it's quite rare. It's quite old.
You mean when you wanted to emphasize on something, you use, after we use the, reflection pronouns after the noun or after the subject. For example, I myself. When I say I myself do something, we want to emphasize in that thing. Okay, where
that I just really believe something. It's normally only used for giving opinion, and it's quite rare. So it's not used very often. The more common one is when I'm talking about at the end of the sentence, after that I've talked about the action, I fixed my car myself. Like, whoa, I didn't have to call a mechanic. I didn't have to take my car to the garage. I fixed it myself. Now, probably it was only a small problem because I'm not very talented at repairing cars. So maybe it was a small problem and I fixed it myself.
Richard, another question about... we always talk about English language learning, and always we may come up with a good idea to learn, okay? For example, right now I tell you this is the best method to learn English. Another day I'll get up and say, I think this is a good idea of learning English. Because always
there's no one method.
What do you think?
There's no one way.
Because
different ways.
Okay, and
so just one second. As I've said before, I think I mentioned it last week. It's about yourself, understanding what works for you. Are you more of an audio learner? Are you better at reading? Are you somebody who, when you write things down, you remember things better? Do you need to work on your speaking? So learning a language is a lot of reflection on yourself. It's a lot of looking at yourself and understanding, what do I need? A teacher can help you, of course, and a teacher can really help you, and textbooks can really help you. But the beauty of learning a language, it's not just having help from other people. It's actually looking at yourself and saying, what do I need to do to get better? And that's something that's very important for learners as well.
Yeah, of course. And as you know, we all speak English. I'm talking about the teachers, English teacher in Iran. But, something that is more important in no native speaker or no native speaker teacher is the place of word, how we can use it, especially, place of the word in the sentences. May we use the word in a wrong way. And I can give an example about the Persian language. I think it was native speakers in another country came to Iran, and he tell the Iranian, he want to tell the professor, you wrong or you are mistaken.
Mm-hmm.
He told us a word that is taboo word, that is, impolite word,
Right.
in
Yeah.
a Persian. It means, instead of you wrong or you are mistaken, it was a kind of insult somebody. Yeah. Even in
Yeah.
that level, we have mistake.
Yeah. So
That's why I just,
I think with the word order, there are some things that are quite easy in English, some rules that are quite easy, some are quite difficult. So the easy ones, generally a sentence is going to go subject, verb, object. I
yes,
went to the park. All right. Subject, verb, object. I ate a pizza. Subject, verb, object. Right. So that's the easy one. So always try and remember that.
yes,
Secondly, adjectives, they go before the noun. Okay. The
yes, but
famous, all right. The famous painting. Famous is the adjective. Painting is the thing, is the noun. So the adjective goes before the painting. Okay. And then the adverb goes after the verb. The man walks slowly. Okay. Slowly is the adverb. Walk is the verb. The man walks slowly. So the adverb is after the verb. The adjective is before the noun. So if you remember those rules, that's a good start. And then, of course, sometimes you will learn things as they come around, like reflexive pronouns. Yeah, maybe it can go in the beginning, maybe it goes in the end. As I mentioned, it generally goes at the end of the sentence.
okay. That is a good, method of teaching. Always think about it. Is it better to, or better off to speak English in the class completely, or just meet? We can half time speak English and then translate those sentences to the learner, or just completely we should speak English. What do you think?
I think there's a mixture. I think sometimes when you're explaining something complicated, such as reflexive pronouns, maybe you need to explain it in Persian before you practice it. But I think a lot of things can be done in English because just imagine if in the future you're in a business meeting or you're at a sales conference or just something where you need to speak English or you're on holiday or just, you're speaking to somebody in English, well, you don't have time to think, oh, is it here? What's the word order? What's the correct word? You're just in this situation and you have to speak. So if it's not perfect, it's okay. But I think it's good to practice that just immediate talking in English just to get you more confident, because that's the biggest challenge. The biggest challenge is confidence for people, I think.
Okay, I myself think speak English in the class more. About 90% you speak English, and then a
Okay.
10% you translate some word in.
Yeah.
That is so helpful because, as you know, many of our sentence word that we are trying to speak or use,
Mm-hmm.
unconsciously we learn those words and sentences as the
Mm-hmm.
psychologists said, or as the psychologists believe. And
Yeah.
that is so helpful for our listening, for because
Mm-hmm.
that's a good, because you can teach better me in a class because you are native speakers and you always speak, and your learners try to listen to you, try to understand and feel you, what are you talking about. That is so important and helpful, I think.
I
And
think so.
yeah, a teacher should be a psychologist, I think, and get the learner's IQ is so hard to do. The teacher, I think,
It's a
face,
challenge. But it's
yeah,
a
it is
fun
a
job.
challenge. Yeah, of course. May some of other major don't concern English language teaching as a major. It
Mm-hmm.
is completely wrong because as we have uh, many learners. About 80% of students and learners may have problem with learning. a language or mathematics and anything. Just as you know, in English language, Richard, excuse me, what is your major in university?
What did I major in? I majored in geography.
Geography, yes, and my major is English language teaching. But how do you, you know, why do you be an English teacher? Or why do you want to be an English teacher in the past? I'm talking in the past.
Because I worked in business before becoming to people, and that a good teacher is very good at explaining things to people. So I was good at explaining things to people. I was good at talking to people as well. So I felt that really helped. And then when I wanted to change career, I decided I think I would make a good teacher. So I went back to study a language qualification and a diploma for English teaching. And I did it and took a job as an English teacher. So I think sometimes for any job, you need to think, what am I good at? And I said, well, I'm good at speaking to people and explaining things. That's a good teacher skills or qualities. So I decided to retrain and become a teacher. Yeah.
Yeah, I think an English teacher should be, you know, should be a good psychologist, geography, and the other books should be concerned because, you know, you should know the people and their problem, their really problem, and in learning English. And I have read the article. It was named "There is no best method." Why? And it's explained that every person, every student or learner should be taught in a special way, and that was a good article that I have read. How many students do you? Yeah, how many students do you teach in a class? For example, 5, 10, and more.
I do a lot of classes with one. So I do some private classes, but I also do some classes with about 6, 7 people.
Yes, of course, that is, and I think teaching, as we discussed, is a complicated, issue that every teacher always. That is, in these days, we are trying to find a good, problem-solving software, apps, and games, maybe because the students should learn with fun, and they just use video games in kids and children. I'm talking about the learners with low level, not upper, because we have got to kind of motivation, out motivation, in internal motivation, and out of our mind. Sometimes we like to learn English because this passion or this motivation is in ourselves, but sometimes we need it. These are two kind of motivation. I think both of them is, if there is no any of them, we are not tended to learn English. Yes.
I think we need a mixture. Like you said, we actually call it intrinsic and extrinsic motivation. So I think you need both. They really help. So sometimes that's where the teacher comes in and can help and can really inspire. Well, not inspire, but just really motivate their students. But that's both. You need motivation in yourself, and you need motivation from other things. And that's why making it fun is interesting, because when things are fun, you're generally more motivated to do those things.
Okay, and do you use film and clip for your students in the class, or just teach them with whiteboard?
Yes. No, sometimes I use some small clips, and it might be a video comprehension. Hey, watch this, and then I want you to tell me about it, give me a summary of it. And I think that can be a good activity sometimes. It can also be a good way to look through, to work out some different accents as well, because a lot of my learners, they only speak to me in English, and I'm quite easy to understand because I'm an English teacher, but sometimes they need to watch something and they need to hear somebody else speaking English in a different accent.
Yeah. Have you different students in around the world, for example, the Asia or European,
Yeah, yeah. I have
Africa?
students from Brazil, students from Europe. I have students from Russia, students from Japan. Yeah, lots of students from Thailand. Yeah, lots of different places.